Hey, good morning. It is early. What time is it? I think it's 7:24 in the morning here in Las Vegas. It's a beautiful day. Good to be here with you. I know it's normally, this is a lot earlier than I normally do my Facebook Live, but had a hard time sleeping last night and thought I would just kind of express and kind of go over some of the things I've been struggling with lately. Did you know that I've been sick? I had pneumonia again for the 8th time, of a blood clot in my right lung, and I haven't been able to work out for quite some time. I'm having a hard time just, walking around. But yesterday I decided to go to the gym. Finally, I started feeling better, good enough to go to the gym. So I went to the gym yesterday, and it was after 5 o'clock, so it was pretty busy. So I had to park quite a ways away from the gym. Finally got into the gym after walking, 100 yards, 200 yards, whatever it was. Realized I'd left my headset, my little waterproof Bluetooth things that I wear when I'm working out, so I'm not distracted. I can listen to my own music, and a lot of times I listen to a podcast or I listen to a book on tape, and it just helps me, ignore what's going on in the gym with everything that goes on in the gym. And the gym that we go to is unlike a lot of gyms that you've probably been at. It's extremely expensive to go there, and a lot of the women are very proud of their bodies, if you know what I'm talking about. But I finally get in there. I forget my headphones, so I go back to the truck. I get them, and then I got to go up 2 flights of stairs to get to the treadmill. And by the time I even got to the treadmill, I was already tired. I got on the treadmill. I set it really nice and easy, 3.2, 1% grade, because I was told that if you bring it up a little bit, it's easier on your knees. At least it is for me. And at 5 minutes and 3 seconds into it, I started getting chest pain. And my pulmonologist told me that this would happen from the blood clot, from just breathing heavily. And I wasn't breathing that hard, but I did get my heart rate up to about 120. So I stopped, took a 5-minute break, and then I decided the chest pain kind of went away. I decided I'm gonna keep going. Right? And if it gets bad, I'll stop. But it never really got bad. It just kind of stayed the same. It's still there this morning. And so I did it 20 minutes. I walked a mile. And I got to tell you, by the time I was done walking that mile, it felt like I had just ran 5 miles. I was exhausted. My legs were gumbied. And I was tired. So I made it down to the locker room to sit in the sauna. That's what I like doing after working out. I like sitting in the steam sauna, and then I'll finish up a book. I usually sit in there for like 15 minutes. I take a big thing of water, and I drink it. Once the water's gone, I get out. But I don't know about you, but it was at that point that the depression started kicking in. Now, I've struggled with depression my entire life, and I don't know if you know that or not, but I suffered from PTSD. I got treated for that. I was on Wellbutrin for about 5 years when I was a firefighter. And I've struggled with it since really I was a kid. And I think it stems from, if you know my story, I was severely abused as a kid. I was tortured as a kid. There's a lot of people that have it worse than I did. My brother Jeremy had it worse. He was beaten more often than me. My little brother Danny was tortured a lot more than I was because he was smaller. But as being the oldest, I was guilty for all of that going on. But I've struggled with depression my whole life. And I found that I can go into really dark places really fast. And through therapy and through talking to counselors and all that stuff, I've kind of figured out how to get past that. And there's a lot of people that suffer from this. And that's why I wanted to share this video with you today, was if you're suffering from depression, It's all right. It happens to all of us. But the key is to learn how to get out of it. Now, if you're suffering depression, you need to go see a doctor, all right? Most people that are taking depression pills, I read a study recently, or heard it study, I think it was Tony Robbins that talked about it. It's like 90% of all the people that were on depression pills were still depressed. And so it might be something other than depression, clinical depression. It might just be lack of fulfillment. Because you have all the money in the world and no fulfillment, and you're going to have a miserable life. So what I found for me to help me out of the depression is I only let it last for 2 to 5 minutes. That's it. 2 to 5 minutes. I let it get full-blown ugly, right? Now, what am I depressed about? Well, I'm 45 years old. I've been hospitalized 3 times in the last 2.5 years. 2 of the times, all 3 of the times they didn't know what was wrong with me. The second time I had a heart attack and they figured that out. 43 years old, I have a heart attack. The other 2 times I had sepsis, pneumonia, now the last one with a blood clot. And the doctors, they need to work on their bedside manner. But one of the doctors come in at the first time said, hey, we don't think you're going to make it out of here. You might want to get your wife down here, get everything together. And I'm completely out of it already. And then they leave that on you, right? I've had 8 HIV tests done last 2 years because I have the symptoms of a full-blown AIDS patient as far as my numbers. But I can't figure out why they're that way. And I don't have HIV. 8 tests later shows that, right? But the depression that's coming on recently is not the lack of fulfillment. I'm very, very fulfilled. It's not money issues. I don't have any money issues at all. It's not, I don't have anybody in my family or I don't have anybody in life. I have thousands of people in my life encouraging me. I'm 45 years old and shit's falling apart, if you know what I mean. And yeah, it's a lot of stress on me, but through work and stuff, but I'm used to stress. As a firefighter, as flying helicopters, flying airplanes, I'm used to stress. I can handle stress. It doesn't really bother me like it does some people. But what I've found, and Tony Robbins does this as well, he lets himself go for 2 to 5 minutes, and then you fix it. So if you find yourself going into that dark place, know that you can't stay there for long. So what I did when I was sitting in the steam sauna last night, I just let myself go. I let myself feel sorry for myself and, all the stuff that happens with that and the regrets and I should have done this, I shouldn't have done that, I should have called this person, I shouldn't have said that to that person, and you just let yourself go. And I will do that for a maximum of 5 minutes. And then after that, I'm done. I tell myself, enough's enough, and then I start focusing on the good things in my life, the people in my life, the fulfillment that I have, the lives that I'm changing, my kids, my wife, how much my dog loves me, how healthy the rest of, I have legs, I can walk up and down stairs. Yeah, I'm getting tired, but at least I can walk up and down the stairs, right? And as you can see behind me, I got a Batman there and a Batman logo. And recently I was watching Batman versus Superman. I was on an airplane and I really had no interest in watching it, but it was the best option of the bad options on the airplane. So I watched it. And what I found was interesting, and I've seen this a few times now with the latest Batman movies, is I know it's a comic character. I know he's not real, but he's real to me. But I found that it's interesting to see you have this superhero with all these powers that saves lives. And yet he goes into that dark space. He gets depressed. And you see that in the last movie. He's in a really bad spot, a really bad place. And he lets anger get in his way, right? And it's almost turns out really bad. But it happens to all of us. The key is to getting out of it. Maybe it is pills. One of the things that I do is I take a lot of St. John's wort. And if you've never tried St. John's wort, I'm not a doctor, it's not a medical advice. That's just what I've done. That's what the doctors, when I was a firefighter on Wellbutrin, one of the guys said, hey, try this out. So I take St. John's wort, usually 2 to 3 pills in the morning, 2 to 3 pills in the afternoon. And it really helps me, and it's just an herb, but it helps me kind of stay level, if you will. And I've talked to the counselors about it with the suicidal thoughts and stuff. There for a while when I had Lyme disease and it was full blown, the suicidal thoughts were like every day, all day long. Just because of what the Lyme disease does to you. I mean, it literally makes you go crazy. And fortunately, that stuff's behind me now, but it does happen. So I wanted just to do this video just to reach out to you and encourage you that it's okay to be depressed. It's okay. A lot of us suffer from it. My friend Andy Frisella, he runs First Form, runs the MF CEO project. Last year they just did $200 million in sales. He's on top of the world, man. But he still suffers from depression. He'll be the first person to tell you that. Maybe the second person, because I just told you, right? But it's okay to have those doubts. Just don't stay there very long. Get in it, get it over with, and get past it. One of my things I did, a few weeks ago, I had a conversation with my grandson, and he's got anger issues. Maybe because of his father, the way that he is and stuff, but he's got some anger issues. And so the other day he threw this little fit, and I said, look, Caden, it's okay to get angry, but you only got 1 minute, dude. I'll give you 2 minutes max, and then we need to cut this out. Because he was getting angry over little stuff, right? I'm like, you got 1 to 2 minutes. After that, no more anger. And so he's getting really good at it. He'll be like, I'm in my 2 minutes, Grandpa. I'm like, okay, you got 2 minutes. And then we're done with it. But focus on that and really try. It really helps. Another thing I recently read was this book. I know it's probably backwards, but it's Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. If you haven't picked this up yet, go get it. You can get it on YouTube as well. Somebody will read it to you. There's videos on it. That's a beautiful thing with the age that we live in today. Is if you're not good at reading, like my friend Andy Frisella, it takes him an hour to read 10 pages because he's dyslexic. My little brother Daniel was tortured and beaten so bad when he's a kid, he can't read. He's a successful person. He's in his 30s now. He cannot read at all. But you know how he reads? He uses his phone. His phone reads to him. That's what's amazing about some of these technologies that we have. So pick up a copy of this. If you can't read, you have a problem reading, and you can't retain because you like audio, like I do. I do really, really well with audio. That's why I have these things. I listen to books constantly. I made a joke not too long ago. I was having dinner with Grant Cardone and Elena, and my wife was there too. And I said to Elena, I said, hey, do you know I take Grant to bed with me almost every night? She just looked at me and I said, yeah, on my headphones. I have my Bluetooth headphones. I hit the book, I hit play, and I go to sleep. So sometimes I have to take other men to bed with me. Sounds bad, doesn't it? Sometimes women too. Depends on who the narrator is. But check out this book, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Again, if you're not a good reader, go on YouTube. Someone will read it to you. It's amazing how that works. But to give you an idea, this guy was a Jew, and he got a visa to get out of the country, come to America, found out his family wasn't going to be able to come with him, so he decided to stay, and he checked himself into a concentration camp. He made it out, his family did not. His wife didn't make it out, his brothers, everybody's killed. All of them were murdered. He made it out. And so this book is about his struggles inside the concentration camp and how he made it through. And how he talked about The people that were positive, they didn't make it. The people were like, oh, we're going to get saved tomorrow, and then tomorrow would show up, and they didn't get saved. They didn't make it. And he talks about how to use, at least what I got out of it, how to use the dark side to make it through. And that's what I use. Like, I use the dark side to make it through. It's not really the positive affirmations. Yes, I use those, but that's not what motivates me. That's not my fuel. My fuel is knowing where I was as a poor, tortured, beaten kid that ate out of a dumpster. I never want to be there again. And my motivation to not have that pushes me. It's my rocket fuel. And so you can use bad things in your life to push you forward. Don't let them hold you back. See, a lot of people use it as an anchor to hold them back. Use it as your rocket fuel to push you forward. One of the other things I've been struggling with is with the 3 life-threatening things, with the hospitalizations and the HIV scares and the AIDS scares and the heart attack, and we don't know what's wrong with you, and your lungs are shutting down, your organs are shutting down, is my patience for bullshit is like almost zero. There might be like 1%. And you can kind of see it on one of my posts yesterday. I've been wanting to go to this apartment complex seminar thing for a couple of years. And every time that he had it, I was doing something else. I was speaking at another engagement, or I had some other seminar that I had to go to, so I never got to. So finally I got the time to do it. And I'm calling the guy, I'm Facebook messaging the guy, I'm emailing the guy. Nothing. I've had it, like with bullshit, lack of follow through, and the gurus all say to have delayed gratification. Delay it. And I'm almost like at the end of my delayed gratification. I don't want to delay anything else. I might die next year. I don't want to delay any trips. I don't want to delay any purchases. I don't want to delay any vacations with my family. I don't want to delay any of my learning, my advancement. I want to do it now. And when you have those near-death experiences, at least for me, I don't have 50 years. I don't see that anymore. I have tomorrow. And so I'm trying to live my life as if I only have tomorrow. And some people, they talk about this, right? Live your life like you're going to die tomorrow and you'll always whatever. I'm like trying to do that now. And so I'm having this struggle. Like, when should I express patience versus just doing it and pushing through it and forget that person, I'm going to go find someone else. And that's kind of where I was yesterday. It was like, you know what? I know this guy's really good, and I know people really like him, but if he won't answer me when I'm trying to give him money, I can't imagine when he asked me for $100,000, because that's what these guys do. They do these seminars. They teach you how to buy it. Grant Cardone's the same way. He does his webinar, his YouTube, Facebook Live thing on how to buy it. But really, it's in the end, he just wants you to give him his money. Grant's a great guy, extremely intelligent, knows his stuff. But ultimately, that's what Grant wants. He's trying to educate you, but really what he wants, he'd rather have you just give him the money. And after you give the dude $100,000, if he won't call you back or email you back when he's asking for your money, what's going to happen when you give him the money? Last year, I got ripped off by a couple friends, or by a couple people that were friends of my friends, that my friends had recommended them. And now I'm kind of jaded with that. I'm very, very hesitant to invest time or money with other people, right? And it seems like I got all this shit right now with these guys. And maybe it's just because I can't take my testosterone anymore. So I feel like a woman, like PMS woman sometimes. I'll just tell you that. But then on top of that, I'm losing my patience for stupidity and losing my patience for lack of professionalism. And it's not just people outside of, people I'm dealing with, but with my employees too. And I'm telling them, I'm done with this. I had to tell one of my guys the other day, he had pistachios under his desk. I'm like, seriously, this is a pigsty in here. There's no reason for you to have pistachios underneath your desk. Clean it up, right? So, rambling a little bit on that. But I just wanted to let you know that I really appreciate you. I appreciate the words of encouragement and the support that I get from you. It really means a lot to me. But I want to encourage you that if you suffer from depression like many of us do, get some help. Maybe you need some pharmaceuticals, I don't know. Maybe you need some more fulfillment in your life. If you get in that place, it's okay. Stay there for a couple minutes, move out. Focus on what you're grateful for. Tony Robbins does this. He starts his day out every day focusing on what he's grateful for. He's grateful for his family. He's grateful for his health. He had some scares too. He's got a tumor in his head. I don't know if you know that. That's why he's so tall and so big, is he's got a tumor in his head that because of that tumor, it made his body just grow the way it is, and it finally slowed down. But there for a while, he didn't know if he was going to make it. All right. So go out and get some help if you need it. Go out and get some fulfillment. Go volunteer somewhere. There's lots of things that you can do to get you out of that slump. But just know you're not alone. It doesn't matter how rich someone is, how successful they look. We all suffer from it. Look at Robin Williams, one of the most loved men in the world. And yet, he was miserable. And he ended up killing himself. And there's a medical reason behind the suicide, but he still had the depression. And if you get a chance, watch, it's called The Autopsy of Robin Williams. I think that's what it's called. There's a doctor that does these autopsies on celebrities, and he did one on Whitney Houston, and he did one on Robin Williams and Michael Jackson and some other people. But it was fascinating with Robin Williams. There was a medical condition that nobody knew about that was causing his late set depression. Not his depression that he suffered through his entire life, because he'd always been depressed his whole life. And he made everybody else so happy, yet he was so miserable. So it happens to all of us at some point. Some of us have it a little bit more than others. So I just want to encourage you that if you find that you're not good enough, you are good enough. That if you're not sexy enough, you are. If you're not good looking enough, you are. I stuttered when I started doing my radio show 8 years ago. I didn't really want to do it because I stuttered really bad. There was words I could not say. Like, literally, it took me almost a year of practicing every day to say, see, now that I'm thinking about it, it's messing me up. Specifically, I couldn't say that most of my life. And there's some other words I still cannot pronounce. And I don't know why. It's something up here. But you are good enough. Just go out there and be yourself. Go out there and encourage other people. Do your best for you and your family. And I just want to say that I really appreciate you. Hope you have an amazing day. See you later.